looking for something, Lady Margaret?
Oh. I came to get my bag. The door's locked.
Naturally. Perhaps I can help you.
Thank you. Mr. Holmes, I must talk to you about the diamond.
Oh, don't you worry about that, Lady Margaret.
£50,000, and you tell me not to worry? My son employed this man to guard it, and it was stolen right under his very nose. I warn you, I intend to take this matter up with your superiors.
I'm a private agent, Lady Margaret.
Good. I shall report you both to Scotland Yard.
But I am Scotland Yard.
Lady Carstairs entered the dining car alone. You and I were already there. Holmes came in later, and I understand that Inspector Lestrade remained in his compartment with the curtains open, so that if anyone had gone in or out, he would have seen them.
See, you've got something there.
Well, let's look at this thing objectively. Lady Carstairs seemed more concerned at the loss of the diamond than at the death of her son.
By George, you're right. So she was.
Come in.
Oh, here you are, Watson.
Oh, sit down. Have a drink?
No, thanks. Do you mind if I,
Not at all.
I've been thinking about this case, Holmes. That is, Duncan Bleak and I have.
Yes, so I see.
Well, the way we figure it out, the old trout is the only one without an alibi.
Yes, we feel that you're approaching the whole thing from the wrong angle.
Really, Watson? What's your theory?
Insurance. A lot of people insure jewelry and then try and collect on it.
Interesting suggestion. I suppose you go and ask Lady Margaret just how much insurance she carries on the Star of Rhodesia.
No, thank you. We've already had 2 tries. Why don't you ask her yourself?
For a very simple reason I already know. You're quite a doodler, sir.
Oh, so now would you ask me? Trying to make a fool of myself.
Mr. and Mrs. Shawcross. Teapots. Well, we can eliminate them. Professor William Kilbane. I've sent a telegram to the Edinburgh police to check up on that mathematics professor.
Interesting.
Now what?
Or just a coincidence.
What's a coincidence?
The fact that this fellow Kilbane happens to be a professor of mathematics.
Ah. Come again, Mr. Holmes?
Lestrade, did you ever hear of Colonel Sebastian Moran?
Of course I did. What about him?
Well, then, as you know, Colonel Sebastian Moran was the most sinister, ruthless, and diabolically clever henchman of our late but unlamented friend, Professor Moriarty. I've never seen him, but I've been unpleasantly conscious of his presence more than once. As a matter of fact, he was directly responsible for what very nearly turned out to be my premature death on 3 separate occasions.
Very pretty, Mr. Holmes. What's all that got to do with all this?
Well, possibly nothing. However, his speciality was spectacular jewel robberies. And for relaxation, he was addicted to the study of mathematics.
Are you inferring that this Professor Kilbane is Colonel Sebastian Moran? That he murdered young Carstairs and stole the diamond? Well, what about this woman, this Vivian Vedder? What about her? No one's above suspicion. And Lady Margaret. She might have a motive for wanting the Star of Rhodesia stolen. She wasn't very concerned over the death of her son. And this friend of Dr. Watson's, this Major Duncan Bleak. Might be just as sensible to suspect him. No. As far as we know, only 4 persons knew the Star of Rhodesia was on this train. Yourself, Dr. Watson, the murdered, the dead lad, and myself.
And Lady Margaret.
And Lady Margaret. I'll have another talk with her ladyship. Lady Margaret, do you mind if I come in?
Holmes.
You leave it open, will you?
Lucky beggar.
Who's a lucky beggar?
Duncan Bleak. Been playing cards with him. He won all the way across, I believe the expression is.
Have you been with him all this time?
Yeah, just left him. He introduced me to a newfangled game. Gin rummy, he called it. American, I believe. A lot of bookkeeping connected with it. You, ever hear of it?
Still looking for the murderer, Inspector?
Impossible, fellow. Stand it. Into thin air. Well, there you are. Where on earth have you been? I asked you where you'd been. Hello? What's happened?
I've been observing the landscape from the door at the end of the corridor.
I've just been along there. I didn't see you. The door was shut.
Actually, I was on the outside.
The outside?
Yes. We must try it sometime. If we'll take a look at that coffin. If you remember, I was interrupted the last time.
Sorry.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. Do you mind if I inspect a coffin you're taking to Scotland?
No one is allowed in here, Mr. Holmes.
I'll take the responsibility. Excuse me. Does it occur to you, Watson, that this is a very unusual coffin?
I don't know. A trifle ornate, perhaps.
I wasn't thinking of the fittings. Do you mind if we open it?
It's forbidden, sir.
Sorry. Go on, Watson.
But you can't do that, sir.
We'll have to.
Excuse me, please. Little old lady.
As I thought. Shallow. Body only comes down to about here.
You think there's a secret compartment underneath?
There has to be.
Empty.
Yes, but it's been recently occupied. We asked Lestrade to come in here. He's with Lady Margaret.
Right, Holmes.
Have you let anyone else in here?
No.
Mathematics, eh?
Gives me something to do.
Come quick.
What is it?
It's the coffin. Holmes found a false bottom in it. Enough room for the murderer to hide in.
Huh? What is all this, Mr. Holmes?
There's where your murderer's been hiding, Lestrade.
It's just a question of finding him, isn't it, Mr. Holmes?
Not him, them.
Eh?
This affair is obviously the work of two men. The one who planned it, and the other who hid in the coffin, and at a prearranged time emerged to commit the murder and effect the robbery.
What are you talking about?
Colonel Sebastian Moran.
You got that man on the brain, Mr. Holmes.
My dear Lestrade, I accepted this case because I was virtually certain that Colonel Sebastian Moran could not resist such a tempting morsel as the Star of Rhodesia. I'm convinced that he's the brains behind this case and that he's on this train.
Oh, and how would you go about finding out which one of the passengers is this Colonel Sebastian Moran?
If he is one of the passengers.
Well, I suggest that you start by questioning Miss Vera. It might prove interesting.
Huh? Oh.
Who's there?
Miss Vera, I want to ask you a few questions, and I must warn you. Anything you say may be used against you.
Oh?
Now, about your mother.
Isn't your mother, after all, is it?
Perhaps if you explain.
That coffin, we've examined it.
And found the secret compartment.
Well, come on, let's have it.
Have what?
The old story.
If you insist. The man approached me and asked me to take a coffin to Scotland. He offered me £100.
Were you aware that the coffin had a secret compartment?
I was.
What story did this person tell you to account for a man being concealed in the coffin?
That someone had to leave London. Foreign agents were watching the train.
Foreign agents.
All right. Maybe I didn't believe that foreign agent story.
You realize, of course, this makes you an accomplice.
What was the name of the man who approached you?
I don't remember.
Miss Vera, the man who engaged you to take this coffin to Scotland, was it by any chance this man here?
I say, old man, aren't you making a mistake?
My dear Watson, just what do you know about Major Duncan Bleak?
I've known him for years. He's a member of my club.
I say, is this a joke?
Does the name Colonel Moran mean anything to you, sir?
Colonel Moran?
Yes, Colonel Sebastian Moran.
Why, I'm afraid it doesn't. Good heavens, you don't think that
No, of course not. You have the perfect alibi, Dr. Watson.
Yes, of course, of course.
Good heavens, gentlemen, you're at perfect liberty to search my compartment, to search me. If you find the diamond,
Now, that won't be necessary. The Star of Rhodesia has not been stolen.
What's that, Mr. Holmes?
An imitation was stolen. I have the real one.
You've got it.
My dear Lestrade, surely you didn't think I would allow Lady Margaret to retain the genuine diamond when I felt reasonably certain that an attempt would be made to steal it? I have had it in my possession almost from the moment I boarded the train.
Confound it, Mr. Holmes, you had no right to do that. This is a police matter. Come on, let me have it.
My job is to see that it wasn't stolen. It wasn't.
Look, I don't know what this is all about, but I do know that I never seen this gentleman before in my life.
I shall have to ask you to remain in your compartment until we reach Edinburgh.
Inspector Lestrade.
Huh? Oh,
Telegram for you, sir.
thank you.
I'm sorry, old man. I'm afraid my friend owes you an apology.
Oh, that's all right, Watson. In a case like this, naturally everyone is suspected.
Well, we all make mistakes. Even Holmes is not infallible. And after all, the killer is still at large, you know.
Yes, he is, isn't he? Well, good night.
Good night, old boy. Don't worry.
I think I'll have another little chat with that professor fellow.
Something important, Lestrade?
You have your secrets, Mr. Holmes, I have mine. This is Inspector Lestrade.
Look here. Is this racket going to continue all night?
Professor Kilbane, you told me you were on the staff of the University of Edinburgh.
I said nothing of the kind.
You most certainly did. I urge you. Mr. Holmes here urged it. Oh,
I merely said that I was a professor of mathematics and that I was returning to my home in Edinburgh.
Well, it might be necessary to talk to you again. Later.
You come pounding on this door again and I'll have the law on you.
I am the law.
And stop barging in and out of my room like a chambermaid.
Where is everybody?
Sorry, chap. Doesn't want to open the door, probably.
This should help us.
Hello? Who shut that door? Great Scott, the guard.
The murderer came back from the scene.
Academic.
Look again, old fellow. Scratch. Just a scratch. Like the one on the car stairs.
Small dot. Apparently made of some soluble substance.
Probably a gelatin preparation that melts in the wound. That's why you couldn't see anything on car stairs. The murderer was about to get rid of the body. He heard the knock and became frightened. Here, let me have that, will you?
Come away from that door. Were you seen coming in here?
No. Sherlock Holmes and the fat bloke are in the luggage van now.
How about the guard in the corridor?
He didn't see me. I fixed him temporarily. The guard in the van did. I had to kill him. Here, you'd better take this.
This isn't the Star of Rhodesia?
You wouldn't be trying to double-cross me, would you?
Sherlock Holmes got the diamond and replaced it with this imitation. Now that Scotland Yard inspector has the real Star of Rhodesia. Was he with Holmes and Watson in the luggage van?
No.
Good, then he's probably in his compartment. But you'll have to hurry.
I don't like it.
Neither do I. All you have to do is to relieve him of the diamond.
Scotland Yard inspector, why, that's something different.
Naturally, it'll mean more money for you. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Come on. He's in there.
He's got the diamond.
You use this.
No! No, don't shoot! Shoot! No, don't shoot!
Hello. That fellow you put on guard isn't there.
That's what I observed. Strange.
What is? Lestrade.
Yeah. Help me to get him up onto this seat.
He's coming too. Hand me that water, will you? Well, it's nothing very serious. I'll attend to him properly later on.
Poisoned like the others.
It's gone. The diamond's gone.
Gone?
Yeah.
Hadn't we better search for murder at once?
No use, old fellow. The man who killed him has the star of Rhodesia.
What's that?
It's an air pistol, Lestrade, that fires a poisoned dart. It's quite an unusual design. You were attacked because you have the diamond. Fortunately, this wasn't used on you. Hello, we're coming to a stop. Police. Scottish police.
Oh. I don't feel up to it, Mr. Holmes. Would you be good enough to talk to them?
Certainly.
Thank you.
You keep quiet, old boy. Be back in a minute.
Mr. Holmes, this is Inspector MacDonald of the Edinburgh Police.
How do you do?
I happen to be in this district on another case, and I received this telegram from headquarters.
You want to talk to Inspector Lestrade?
In due time, but I'm in charge here. This is Scotland. You've crossed the border.
We've had a spot of trouble here, Inspector.
And that's why I'm here. And who are you, might I ask?
Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
And the private inquiry agent, eh? I've heard of you.
Heard of him. Mr. Holmes has practiced solved this case already.
Watson.
Will you clear the dining car? I want to ask a few questions.
Yes, sir.
And see that no one leaves his compartment until I need him for questioning.
Very good, sir.
Inspector Lestrade asked me to sit in with you.
It's a bit unusual, but...
Scotland Yard think a great deal of Mr. Sherlock Holmes. They frequently ask his advice.
Scotland Yard, eh? Where is this Inspector Lestrade?
Now, Watson, will you see if Inspector Lestrade is sufficient to recover to come into the dining car?
Right you are.
Better? I know all about you. And frankly, you're in for it.
All I did was buy a coffin and bring it on the train.
In my opinion, this is a matter for Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard's jurisdiction ended when you crossed the border, Inspector.
So you say.
That's a matter of opinion. Miss Bader is unquestionably in the plot. But you may not know Colonel Moran, however.
I don't.
Colonel Sebastian Moran? Is he in this? You know him? Unfortunately, I do.
You may return to your compartment.
You said unfortunately.
Aye. I once had an encounter with Colonel Moran. The only time in my entire career I've been bested. The cleverest criminal since the late Professor Moriarty.
And that I concur.
Well, where is this Sebastian Moran?
He's traveling on this train under the name of Major Duncan Bleak.
What on earth are you talking about?
Are you serious, Mr. Holmes?
Constable, bring in Duncan Bleak.
Aye, sir.
Duncan Bleak? But he played for the gentleman at Lord's.
Come in.
Duncan Bleak?
Yes?
Inspector MacDonald would like to see you.
All right.
Colonel Sebastian Moran, eh? It will give me great pleasure, Mr. Holmes, to meet up with that scoundrel again.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, Colonel Moran. You're under arrest.
Oh, so you've managed to convince him that I'm the mythical Colonel Moran.
Not mythical, Colonel. Have you forgotten that affair at Inverness 3 years ago?
I've never been in Inverness in my life.
Do you mind if I search you?
Go ahead.
For an innocent man, you carry strange things in your pockets.
A retired army officer, India.
But you're in Scotland now, and there's a law against carrying firearms.
Well, you satisfied?